it, we're going to teach you guys how to make use of GitHub desktop. Will be presented by my dear ex-co Joey later on. Then at the end of it, we will again sign you up all for GitHub Pro. Yeah, to give you access to extra, let's say, privileges and extra data access throughout the whole entire 3 years of the school. Okay? Okay, so start with our learning objectives itself. So firstly, we just want to understand how to make use of all these individual commands itself in Git bash first. So we're going to make use of command lines at the start for you guys to understand how this whole entire GitHub works. Because why would I need to use GitHub right in this case? Then followed by creating branches and applying CI. Okay? Okay. So first activity is workspace setup. So like this, we'll head over to this link over here, right here. Git SVM right here. So we're going to download Git SVM into your local devices. So we got 10 minutes to go through this process. Okay, just follow me. Yeah. So once you guys are done with installation of this Git SVM itself, I'd like you to open up your Git bash. So just press the start menu, just key in Git bash, and then open up the terminal and then key in the following information. Please do not follow by Okay, just type in your Git username, and then followed by, let's say, your Git user email. So this information allows you to configure your Git within your local repository itself. Yeah, just open up Git bash, and type in the following information. Okay, let's move on to the next activity. Yeah. So before the next activity. So let's say, is this you? Anyone of you guys here did this before? In past history itself. Anyone here is guilty of this? Yeah, creating multiple versions of the same file just to make sure that you commit, or like just make manual version control. So this is actually an example of manual version control where you actually go through saving multiple versions of the same file just to make sure that you keep track of the previous changes while you add in new materials itself. So I am guilty of this too, and this is the reason why we're all here today to make use of Git. Okay? So I'm going to share with you guys more about this. Okay? Yeah, so what is it? Git is actually a version control system that allows you to, let's say, share, manage changes in a file repository by keeping track of individual changes of the file. So when you open up a code file itself, in fact, it's usually lines and lines and lines of code, right? So Git actually make use of this, and then monitor every single line of changes that you make, and then allows you to pass it within the commit itself to, let's say, commit online to an online retrieve. Yep. So usually, let's say, for example, when you want to do this, right, we're going to make use of several code hosting platforms. So let's say, for example, we're going to use GitHub today. Yeah, so code hosting platforms itself allow you to make use of, let's say they host your code for you online, and then you can just pass your code online there every single time, so that your teammates can also be able to see the same repository. Yeah. So yeah, you can do it locally without using. Okay, so what does it consist of in Git? So several portions that Git consists of. Firstly will be repository. We talk about repository, and then followed by commits, pushes, branch, pull requests, and merge. So let's start with repository. Firstly, let's say for example, when you open up your GitHub on your browser itself, this is the first page. Let's say this is what you will see. Let's say we are connected to a repository. You can always create a new repository and you will be able to see, let's say for example, what is inside. Is it like a private or public repository? Anybody can access to it? Yeah. So this is usually what you will see, let's say when you want to create a new repository in the page itself. So in here, when you're creating a repository on GitHub, always make sure that you include the following. This is a README file and a git-ignore file. So README file mostly make use of, you write instructions on what you can use, how people can run your project, for example. If your code is not there, write instructions on how you can include, like, how can I run your code and what are the information and dependencies required to run your code. Yeah. So example would be, let's say, for example, if I'm running a Node.js package, for example, then what you need is definitely a Node modules folder. So within git-ignore over here, this is what you need to, let's say, ignore the Node modules folder, so you don't commit the whole entire Node modules folder into the repository. Okay. Yeah. Okay, next part would be commit and push. So in committing and pushing itself, you actually create a snapshot of your code. In every single commit, you wrap it up with a commit message. So commit message actually allows you to quickly identify the information. Let's say, for example, within this commit, I updated my README file, or within the next commit, I updated my, let's say, my settings file, and I'm able to see that information, and I'm able to pass it on. So when reviewing through the entire commit itself, I'm able to see what are the changes I make quickly just by picking up the commit message. So please write very good commit message. Please write very quick commit message to allow you to identify what commits you have made. Okay, the next up will be push. So pushing actually allows you to upload all the information, let's say for example in your local machine. So every time you type in your commit stuff in the local machine, you are able to push it up into the remote repository on, let's say, GitHub. Okay, so branching. So what is branching then? Okay, I'm trying to not make it sound like your lecture because it's boring, yeah, but yeah, just trying to add some additional information right here that you're able to just have a better knowledge of what you're doing right here, okay? So for branching itself, you actually create a branch, let's say from the isolated code base. So when creating a branch itself, you actually have the isolated space where you can develop your work without interfering with other people's work. So if you look at an example previously, let's say when I created multiple copies of the same Excel sheet, the difficulties in that will be, let's say for example, when I'm opening the file, nobody else can open it. Only I can open it. But let's say if you are able to create a branch, you are able to work on the same project concurrently without affecting other people's work. So this allows you to do concurrent development, which allows you to speed up the development time. Okay? So next will be merge. So what is a merge? As its name states, merge essentially means that, let's say for example, when I create our branch of tree itself, you'll come to a point where, let's say, you want to collaborate your work or combine your work together. And this is where you have to create merging. So merging itself will always cause conflict. Or like sometimes actually, not always, but sometimes cause conflict. Let's say when you have, let's say you entered line 1, your friend edited line 1. And this is where, let's say, when conflict happens, when you both have edited the same line, but you've edited two different information in it. Yep. Alright, then followed by pull requests. This is actually one of the most important portions that schools will probably never do. Well, like maybe they'll try to, but they don't really cover it that itself. But pull requests is one of the most important portions. Let's say when you are working on a branch, you created your features in the branch, and then once the branch, you have completed your work or feature within the branch, you want to make sure that you're able to merge the code back. But how will I know, let's say if you're going to merge the code back, what have you done in the branch? As a developer, I'm doing work remotely, I won't be able to know what you're doing, right? So this is where I'm able to, let's say when you've completed your work in a branch, you create a pull request, and within that pull request itself, you're able to see, hey, I can write some comments, I can write some information about what files I have changed and what changes I have made. And this is the important portion of it. So whenever when you're going to do, let's say, when you start out as a developer itself in the future, at the start when you're at the junior level, you always be required to create pull requests and then you need to nominate somebody who will help you review your code. So code review is actually one of the most important process of a software developer. So to get somebody to check your work, to make sure that your work is up to standard, to make sure your work confined to, let's say, the several pages that like you asked you to do. Okay, so next portion. We're going to start with our activity 1. Okay, here we're going to talk about how we're going to make use of our most frequently used commands such as like git add, git commit, git push. So let's begin. Okay. So we have 15 minutes to perform this activity. Yeah, give me your very best. All right. Yeah. So at any kind of point in time, let's say from now on, if you have any difficulties with the project itself, or like in any ways to committing itself, just raise a hand and our student experts will come around and assist you. Tell them about the code. Oh yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. So something that I missed out a little bit. So right here, I'd like you guys to come to we probably have sent an invitation to all of you guys to your individual emails itself. Please take a look. We actually invited you to our repository where you're able to clone for our project itself. Yeah. The first activity is to, ignore the first line. You're gonna clone our repository. Alright? So clone for our repository itself, then you create, let's say, a file, and then to input your name and your favorite song inside. Yeah, just ignore line number 1, okay? Okay, guys. I think majority of you guys actually managed to finish the activity. activity 1 already, so we're going to move on to the next activity. For those who are still having difficulties trying to configure their repository itself, do just let our dear experts know so they can come and assist you. But yeah, for the rest of you guys, I'm going to move on to the next activity. Okay? So yeah, solution for activity 1, all you're going to do is just to make sure that you git add the text file that you've created. So you clone already, and once you clone it, you write message within the file itself, and then you git add. So once you're done with that, right, all you're going to do is just add a commit message. Some of you guys are actually faced with this terminal thing that you see, it's called Bean. So sometimes, like, let's say you see like a bunch of stuff that tells you to write a commit message, right? That's actually Bean. So it just lets you to know that, oh, this portion, you're just going to insert a commit message. That's how they just compute, okay? So if you want to avoid Bean altogether, and to do so, right, all you're going to do is just write git commit m. This m allows you to insert your messages, your commit message into this thing itself. Okay, so once you're done with this, then you run a git push, and usually you will not have any difficulty. Okay, if you're working on your own branch. Alright, so right now, right, the issue that most of you guys face, right, is because we are working on the main branch concurrently, and sometimes there are changes that are pushed remotely that we have not fetched yet. Because your local device is out of sync with the repository itself. Sometimes, like, if you're not sure about what's going on, just make sure you run the command git status to know what's going on with your git itself. And once you do so, all you're going to do is to git fetch the new changes. So when you run a git fetch itself, most of the things that come up, you'll tell you that, hey, a new branch has been created, or like, messages have been created. So like any new commit that will be there, git fetch will actually fetch all those remote changes into your local device. So once you fetch all those remote changes into your local device, then you're able to, let's say, merge them locally before you push it out into the pod again. So sometimes, like, I think while walking around, most of the difficulties here will be like, let's say somebody else is pushing, and then you're trying to push concurrently into the same branch, and then you're always constantly faced with endless merge requests, right? Yeah. Anybody faces this issue right here? Anybody just endless merging, and merging, just non-stop. Yeah. Yeah, I see all your hands here. Sorry, but this is what happens, let's say, when there's a lot of people working concurrently on the same. So all you're going to do, right, let's say, in a real scenario itself, let's say you're working on a school project, always create a branch from wherever you're developing, and then just go into the development branch, commit whatever you want there. It will be isolated from the rest of your code base. Okay? Yeah, so just take note of that. So let's move on to the next activity. Now we're going to start with branching. So branching is, in a way, let's say, for example, you're allowed to create an isolated code base. Essentially, it's like a clone of your current directory. Let's say you're in main, you create a branch of main, you're able to name it whatever you want to. And then from there on, you're able to work inside there concurrently with the rest of the team. Alright? In this case, let's say when you merge back to main, then you will face the merge conflict. Alright? Okay, activity time is 15 minutes. Okay, right now, right, we're actually a bit off our time. We're supposed to finish this, start this activity at 2:05. But it's okay, it's perfectly fine. All we're going to do is make sure that all of you guys learn something today. Yeah, so bear with me, we overrun a little bit. Is that okay? So those that finished earlier, right, just, yeah, you can leave first. But the rest of you guys, if you still have any issues with your Git itself, feel free to stay back. I'll be here to support you guys. Okay, what's the bullet? Okay, next activity is branching. So all you're going to do is to go to the repository that you guys are in, create a new branch within the repository with, let's say, your name. So the branch will be of your name, okay? Within the repository that I shared, you create a branch of your name. And then, from there on, you create a table to indicate, let's say, your favorite food. So edit the same text file that is edited just now, but right now you change it to include your favorite food. And once you're done, create a pull request of there, and then you merge to it. Okay? our last activity for the day, okay? Is that okay? Yes. Yeah, again, huh? Anyone here still very lost? Confused, not sure what to do? Hi. Anyone here is confused? Not sure what's going on, still very lost? Yeah, managed to create your own branches yet? We just look through, okay? All the branches that you guys have created. Okay. Okay, you have 35 branches right here, okay? Wait. So you guys actually created pull requests already, and then you try to merge it back into main. Yeah, good job for that. Okay. Yep. So, without further ado, we're going to move on to the next activity due to constraint of time, but let's begin, okay? Yeah, so I'm going to review through the answers for the portion for activity 2. So let's begin. So solution for activity 2, review. So following, we're going to publish the branches first. So let's say when you create a branch locally, let's say you make a branch, you run each branch, for example. This is just a branch that you created locally, like I explained just now. All you're going to do is make sure that you check out the branch, you go towards that branch, and you send this information, set up stream. This is the important portion that you need to ensure that your local branch is linked up to the remote branch. Anyone here take data structure before? Data structure. Anybody data structure? Data structure. Anyone guys take data structure before? Yeah, so data structure in this case, you can think of it as a linked list, where you're going to link your current local repository into the remote repository, and you're going to point it to there. Okay? So running this command allows you to link it up. So once you link it up yourself, you can then add your file and commit your file remotely.
So once you do a certain set theory already, right?
Yep.
You push already.
Yep.
Then you do the commit and you commit.
Yep.
Then you push again.
Yep.
In the same branch.
Yes. Okay. Once you guys are done with this activity, the next portion of this will be to create a pull request. So in the pull request itself, is you go to the GitHub on your browser itself, then you create a pull request. Then from here on, then you just set a pull request here. Alright? So it's just to merge back into main. So within the pull request itself, sometimes they'll ask you, let's say, to have any code reviewers, to send anybody for reviewing. Okay, sometimes you can set your friends, let's say in a team project, you can always point to them, and then you can review your code for you, they can approve, deny, or ask you to make changes. This section allows you to make sure that you review each other's code when you're committing to ensure that everybody knows what each other is doing. Then from there on, you create a pull request. Okay, so next activity right here, we're going to cover continuous integration and continuous delivery. So anybody heard about this term before? Anyone here? CI/CD? CI/CD? Anybody? CI/CD? Yeah, CI/CD. It's called CI/CD. Continuous integration and continuous delivery. So what this is, actually, consists of several parts. So when you set up a continuous delivery itself, all you got to do is to make sure that, let's say you set up a workflow on GitHub. So in this case, we're using GitHub, so it's GitHub Actions. So when you do this, it allows you to automate all your tests. Now let's say you have some test cases, right? Some portions you have write out, that allows you to to automate this process itself. So CI/CD allows you to integrate code, let's say to run tests. It also allows you to, let's say, you have a remote instance online in cloud, or like somewhere you're going to deploy your project to build your project to. This is where you'll go. So you automate this process itself, you write in some script, and then from there on, when you run, let's say you commit into main branch, then your code will not be deployed or reviewed remotely on GitHub itself. So this allows you to validate the process of your code. Let's say to know if my code is correct. If it's able to pass all the tests that I've written, and this is one of the most crucial criteria of coding. So not only do you need to know how to code, you need to know how to write tests. You need to make sure that your test fits whatever you're coding. To make sure that everything you're running is able to go smoothly, go through all the test cases that you have planned out to know that, let's say, this is what I want, this is what I want to do. Yeah, so this is the important portion of validation for your code. Yeah, so this allows you to, let's say, make changes, right, very quickly. So when you push it remotely, and then your build fails, you know that, oh, this code is bad code, for example. Yep. Alright, so activity 3 will be CI/CD. So activity time is 20 minutes. Now we're kind of overrunning, but we can still continue, okay? Yeah, so activity 3, actually, you have to create a branch called workflows in this case. So right now, I require you guys to fork the repository. The repository that you guys have at the moment, you go to your GitHub, in the browser itself, there's a big fork. Just press fork, okay? Yeah, so fork the repository and create a branch called workflows. So once you created the branch itself, you then create the folder. Yeah, just create this folder from GitHub. Instead of have the full stop right here, the workflow. And then we're going to share with you this YML file itself where you're going to copy into this folder. And then you will have to push this. So at the same time, we also share with you this PDF file inside where there is links to individual Discord channels within our Discord itself. So all you're going to do is to go in and hit the link with the respective tables where you're at. And then commit the folder into the repository and merge that into it. Okay?
Just think about it right now. Everything's okay. No matter where you find yourself, no matter what kind of stuff is going on in your life, underneath it all, everything's actually all right. You're okay. You have more power than you might be giving yourself credit for. If you have something that's going on in your life right now that's challenging, painful, it's just a reminder to take a little bit better care of yourself. Because you're worth it. You can have this feeling anytime you choose.
Okay, everyone, listen up. Yeah, I'm going to start to demonstrate this section. I think a lot of you guys are actually very confused with what's going on right here. It seems like some of you guys are lost with what you're trying to do. Some of you guys are trying to commit, some of you guys are trying to push, and it's all over the place. So I'm going to demonstrate right here how we're going to do it, okay? Yeah, Oh, sorry, the music is a little loud. Yeah, my bad. Yeah. But I'm going to demonstrate how you're going to conduct this activity, okay? Okay, but anyway, so I'd like to thank you guys for coming here today to go through this entire workshop. But some of you guys come here to learn something, some of you guys leave here a bit more confused. I'm really trying our best to all of us here, Expo here, are really trying our best to share this information with you, share how to go through GitHub with you, to go through all this entire process itself. So right now, we're going to share with you this thing called GitHub education. This is actually one of the things that I think all of you guys should actually register since it's tagged to your school account. So everyone has entitled access to it. So just look it up, just GitHub education. Yeah, correct. So over here, right, if you log in with your Google Student Developer Pack, GitHub Student Developer Pack. So you go here, just sign it up using your full email, and then you will actually have access to GitHub Pro. Okay, so benefits to this is, let's say, for example, if you're building workflows on GitHub Actions, or let's say if you want to have the GitHub pages on your primary repository, you have access to it. So in the past, GitHub actually don't allow you to create multiple primary repositories. But right now, we are able to do so. But added benefits on top of this will be, let's say, you're able to host GitHub pages within your primary repository. Yeah, so GitHub pages is essentially a place where you can host static web pages. Let's say static HTML page itself on your repository. All you're going to do is commit within this folder, and then in the folder itself, they'll actually host the web page for you. Yeah, so that's it. Yeah, right. So anything you want to host, let's say, for example, your code documentation, your portfolio itself, all can be hosted on GitHub pages. Alright? So yeah, just look it up. This is something that